Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this video, let's just go ahead and discuss about functionality in Tailwind CSS, which was only possible because of just-in-time compiler introduced in the last version. And now it seems like a no-brainer a lot of times when you want to opt out of the default styling mechanisms. So what dynamic styling with Tailwind means is that instead of sometimes what happens is that your default styles, which Tailwind provides, are not enough, right? Whether that's maybe a 1 pixel margin which you wanted to give, or a custom font size, or a custom color, or something which you wanted to give, which is not available, and you don't want to go into your CSS files or mess around with that. What you can do is instead use these placeholders with properties. That is like one way to go about. So if I give something like 200 pixel, and remember that I'm doing this inside these square brackets, what Tailwind would do is that it will try to infer what the property did earlier. For example, this property did margin top, and there used to be the value for this particular property, right? So instead of the value, it found that, hey, I have this weird square syntax. So this means that this is a dynamic property. This means whatever the value is inside this is actually the style which should be generated. So if you open this in a new tab, and if you take a look under the hood, you're going to see the style which is generated, the class name which is generated over here is a dynamic class of .margin top of 200 pixel, the same class which you used, but the style is pretty much the same thing which you would expect it to be, right? Similarly, you can have 3EM, for example. Doesn't matter what you want. And refresh, you're going to see it's going to generate the same class as your class name, but it's going to dynamically populate that particular style. So this is pretty awesome. Why? Because it allows you to opt out of Tailwind's default boundaries. Although it should not be used pretty much with every single style, because then what's the point of using Tailwind? But sometimes it's a great escape hatch, right? For example, I want to give a custom color to body. So instead of going all the way, to config files or to CSS to add it, what I can do is something like this, where I just specify, or I think I don't know, a black color. I think FD was the one. Yeah, not sure. So for example, let's just have a background of black or something like which is a little bit nicer or a little bit less black, 3E. So I can have a 3E, 3E, 3E as a dynamic background color, and this will just work out of the box. So I don't have to like add it as a new color or mess around with my CSS and so on. Similarly for text, I can have a 72 pixel as a size, and it will just work out of the box. But like I say, it's more of a replacement of a existing value, and Tailwind would understand it out of the box. So this is pretty awesome and pretty amazing, which escape hatch, which allows you to work with all sorts of values within your Tailwind. So this is one way of having a property which Tailwind already knows and assigning it a custom value. In Tailwind CSS 3, there is another way of having completely dynamic property and value assigned to your div element or whatever element. So you can see in the dynamic section of the Tailwind docs, it actually says that you can pretty much throw in a full utility, the full property and the value pair, and it will just make it work, right? So if you want to try it out, what we can do is something like background and then the same color, just like that, and it should still work. And yep, it does work. So this is pretty awesome, right? You can have a black background over here. So at this point, you are literally just writing CSS, but in a way which is combined with Tailwind, right? So you can have background black and then display flex, something like that, and it will just work out of the box. So not display flex, I think that won't be visible very much. Opacity 0.5, and then what I can say on hover, opacity is 1. So again, this is like an escape hatch which works pretty awesome, but you should probably not use it because Tailwind also already has support for opacity and opacity 100 like this. So try to not use the escape hatches if they are not required. BG Gray 900 would be a good option as well. So yep, I mean, but in case you wanted to do that, just letting you know that this is completely fair, completely possible, and completely valid in Tailwind CSS version 3. So yep, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you understood something. That is all for this one. I'm gonna see you in the next video really soon.